Hello. It's October 9th. That's day 9 of the walk. And a beautiful beginning early this morning at 2 a.m. turned real bad when I made a big mistake while driving to begin the walk back 10 miles ago where I left off yesterday, period. Thus, it'll take a little more time so I can tell you the story today. Recently, I've only been getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and it's not enough. I was pretty tired yesterday afternoon, so I set the alarm, went to bed early, 6:30, and figured I'll sleep till about 2:30, and then get up, try and leave by 3:30, or leave by 3 and start the walk by 3:30. That way I could have most of the 10-mile walk done before we were too far into the light and heat building in the day, because the sun has been pretty intense on my New England skin without a big tan. So I'm driving. I'd barely started a mile or two down the road, heading on the way to the start, and I'd eaten breakfast, but I needed to go to the bathroom. So I started looking on the dark streets for a station that was open. First one was open and had everything I needed, but it was in the middle of shift change and the door was locked, so I kept going. Then I came to another one up ahead that was well lit, and I thought, oh great, I'll go there. It was on the opposite left side of the street. As I approached the intersection, it was on the southeast corner of, I figured, okay, there's no traffic, I'll just cut across the other 2 lanes and into the driveway opening. I failed to see the 1-foot to 14-inch high concrete curb that the city of Loma Linda had installed in the middle on the center line. And I, with my little 2014 electric green Chevy Sonic, hit that pretty hard and climbed halfway over it and hung up. And so there I am at about 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. Very little traffic, but I am sideways on this center thing of concrete in the middle of a 4-lane highway, 2 in each direction, with me blocking one of the lanes. That wasn't a good spot to be in, and it wasn't going to drive off. I was in trouble, period. So a car was coming through the intersection. I went out and flagged it, and it stopped. And the couple who got out were immediately helpful. They went right to work, and we tried and strategized about various ways to get it off, but between the two of us, we couldn't budge. At that point, another car drove in to get gas at the station across the way, and I went over to the 2 guys that were in the car and asked if they'd be willing to help. They said yes. With their help, we were good to get the car off the center concrete curbing, but I had a flat tire and I was leaking oil. So we pulled it over and into the parking lot across the way where it continued to leak oil. And I knew I had a problem, and that was going to scrub the walk for the day. The first couple who stopped were homeless, and they were incredibly helpful. And so I offered them $40 in gas money for their help, and they said they'd love to accept that, but could they put in $30 worth of gas and keep the other 10 because they were low on cash? And I said, sure. I've been seeing an awful lot of homeless, some living in their cars, some not, but the cars are piled high with all the gear. We see it in Vermont, but nothing in quantity like we're having out here. It's a reflection on our country and the lack of support from Washington to balance our economy so that it works for all. And we have now 40% of Americans that can work a full work week, and at the wages that exist at the lower levels, not be able to earn enough to actually live and be in charge, feel in control of their life. That is not healthy for our country. And that comes directly from Congress not doing its job to balance the value of having a capitalistic economy that drives GDP, but has side effects. Those side effects are really bad, and it's Congress's job to balance them. Number one side effect is that left unbalanced, it will slowly but surely take the winnings and push them to an ever smaller of ever richer people at the very, very top, all at the expense of everybody else in the country. Another bad side effect is that left unbalanced, it will drive wages as low as they will go, as long as people will show up for work. Unfortunately, they've been driven so low because Congress hasn't balanced it and has left minimum wages far below what is even reasonable to try and be in control of your life, that we now have some 40% of all America in the position where they can work a full work week and only be a paycheck away from disaster, and dependent, not independent, dependent on government handouts and things that come with much bureaucracy and gaps to survive. That is not a winning combination for our country. Our country will rise if our government and our elected leaders who represent us make decisions on the biggest issues affecting all of us in a way that, after examining all the alternative ways, sets up systems that are going to give us the most bang for the least bucks and serve the needs of all Americans. So there's a lesson in all this today. But the aftermath of this is then a tow truck was called. A fellow, an Algerian, 33-year-old named Isa, showed up. He was wonderful. He'd come over with his parents at age 18 about 15 years ago from Algeria. His parents decided after a year that it wasn't working for them, and they decided to go back to Algeria. He stayed, and he's made his way on his own, and he now has a steady job. He's doing the towing. He's thinking about getting to the point where he can independently have his own service. He was really helpful. And both the first homeless couple and Aisha were very interested in walking to fix our democracy and its purposes. Almost everyone I'm meeting agrees that we need to stand up and tell our elected leaders and show them that we want this fixed. So Aisha towed me to, found a nearby Chevy dealer, and it happens to be very close to where the RV was parked, and so we towed the RV there, or not the RV, the RV tow car there, and they, of course, were closed today. And tomorrow, although it's a holiday, their service will open, and I will check. I will need maybe a new tire, hopefully not more on the front end than that, and I'll need a new oil pan, and we'll see how long that takes and where it is in queue. Meanwhile, I looked online and found an RV campground, Mission RV, right here in Loma Linda, that is very close again to where the RV was. And they had a spot. So I am now settled, and I have, for the first time on my entire trip, I have electricity, I have water, I have sewer, and I'm settled for a day. I'm going to have a day off, so I'm going to be able to focus on a bunch of things that have been hard to keep up with because of the walk. So it isn't all bad, and situations come up in life for all of us. This one was my doing, and I'm paying the price, but there's an upside because I need the time off from the sun. My feet can use a day of rest, and I'll get more work done. So I'll let you know how it all turns out, but that's it for tonight.